We are here to talk about today when the bottom drops, when it falls
out.
And I think we probably have all had those experiences in life, right? I mean,
Yeah, we're going to focus on financial. But there's plenty of opportunities for the bottom to fall out.
Oh, it is. But we're going to talk about financial. The crazy thing is, last week I lost my job. And we had already picked this title, all that. We've had a crazy couple weeks, so we kind of just took a pause, right, to take care of ourselves. We always talk about authenticity on our show, and we needed some time, and that was okay. And then we had already planned the shows, though, and ironically, I knew layoffs were coming, and I figured I probably would lose my job, as Kim knew.
Yeah.
But I ended up losing my job last Tuesday, and so it's kind of ironic that we're talking about this stuff.
It is.
I don't feel like the bottom has fallen out completely. But hey, 3 months from now, if I don't have a job, I might be feeling that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like
it's not a good feeling, but it's different than before when you were out of work.
About 12 years ago.
Yes.
That was.
And you had a child to take care of. And it was different financial situation.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
That
was the bottom falling out.
And I mean, I just went through a divorce. So it was like, Lord, it's a cruel joke. I mean, it was like everything that was happening that was major was happening all at the same time. Yeah. And you're right. My son was 8. Mm-hmm. It was hard. It was so hard. I'm a different woman, though, now, too.
Yes.
So I think I'm stronger in so many different ways. Financially, I did get a severance this time.
Yes.
So I'm actually still an employee till next week or this week, and then I get the severance. So it doesn't feel as daunting.
Yes.
But it is a little scary.
It's still scary.
And I'm trying to, some of our conversations, having some of those conversations of how I can prepare myself.
Right.
For this time, because you don't want to keep living like you've been living.
Yeah.
And then you and I have talked about, like, because you've been through a similar experience. You're like, why are we able to wind things back, stop spending, buying the high-end brands or whatever? We talked about soap the other day, hand soap.
Yeah.
I like the $3.50 soap, but I bought the 99-cent soap at Target. I did.
And you should buy it all the time.
But why don't we continue to buy it all the time? And so trying to
because we're so guilty. We look at all the things that they're selling on social media, and we want all the things too. And so we're easily influenced just because of marketing.
Marketing, yeah. And I mean, look, the soap was honey and something. I don't know. It was fine. I used it.
It will be fine.
I was used, and then I have been thinking, though, when I'm making those choices this week after our conversations when we were planning the show, why don't I just keep those behaviors once I do get a new job? I'm really going to try that because, maybe then the next time the bottom's not going to fall as heavy and maybe some of it's emotional, right? We think we can buy it, so we buy it.
Yeah. You don't. I know that the more, and they say the more money you make, the more money you spend. And I think one of the things, too, I know for me is the busier I am, I just don't think the same about money.
No.
So, but, if you're not working or something happens, you got time.
Yeah, and you're thinking.
Flip some coupons or whatever you got to do.
Right, go to 3 different grocery stores if you have to, right? I don't do that now.
I kind of do that. I've always done that.
I mean, there's some stores, but for the most part, I'm like, I do buy the sale a lot of times. But I noticed when I went shopping the other day, I was like, well, I don't need that. You know what? That one's $1 cheaper, the stain remover. I'm going with that one, Or is it like stuff you really need versus what you really want?
And sometimes, look, and it's okay to sometimes get what you really want. So this is okay. When when the bottom fell out for me, part of it was my physical health. And so it was important once I discovered a diet that was helping me to heal. I had to buy organic food. Now, I didn't have money really to buy organic food, but I knew that where I was trying to get with my health, that would get me back to work. And so I made sacrifices in other areas.
That makes sense.
And just said that I am going to follow this diet to a T so that I can regain my health. And so that was against what would be typical.
Yeah.
So you have to you have to weigh, and it's one of the things. So we're going to go through some of the steps.
And I was going to say and I'll let you lead that, but you just reminded me when the bottom fell out for me many years ago. I remember it was a year out of work and I was getting so desperate. I was like, I just need something. And I was like, maybe it's my resume. And I found this woman online. By the way, I was using the Dunkin' Donuts Wi-Fi because I chose not to buy it in my house.
Yeah,
I just was like, I can't afford it. Like, it was bad. It was so bad. But I made the decision to have my resume done by this woman. She found out I was a veteran.
Yes.
So then she gave me a substantial discount, which she did all veterans. And I'm talking within 3 weeks, I had a job offer. So that was kind of the same thing. I didn't have the money, but I was like, I've got to do something different.
Yes.
Kind of like your health.
Right. And so those things will come up. So, but one of the first things to do, and I know when the bottom falls out, one of the first things that happens is you get afraid.
Yeah.
And so you really have to spend a little bit of time dealing with your emotions about what has happened. So if you lose your job, and there's so many people in the country now who've lost a job or just can't afford, they don't make enough money to afford the basic necessities of life. And so it's kind of a continuous when the bottom falls out. But really kind of dealing with your emotions about it. So, even when we were talking about you being laid off, and there's no shame in that.
No.
But you might get that little feeling like I lost my job, like they didn't keep me.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
And you might have some feeling about that. So you need to kind of get rid of all your feelings about the situation that you're in, acknowledge them, feel them, and say, okay, this is what it is.
Yep.
This has happened.
I've had some relief. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, well, that's a good feeling.
It's relief until I can't pay my bills.
Well, that's something to hang on to. Look,
No.
you feel relief. That's a positive thing. Keeps you going.
It is. And I'm trying to, and I think that's, but I have had, I'm scared a little bit too. Because what happens if, but then I'm like, no, don't let your mind go there.
Don't let your mind go there.
Because that's anxiety.
Yeah, because will I lose everything?
Right.
You don't know that you're going to lose everything.
I've worked hard for my job. I mean, how many people have gotten laid off and their job's even 10 times better?
Yes.
And I believe that this is going to happen to me.
Oh, I know for me, I shared an Instagram post this gentleman made, and he was talking about being laid off, and he was doing his routine. He was going to the gym, and he was, just kind of, having a real positive attitude about losing his job. And I think it's really...
People were hating on him.
People were hating on him. People will hate on you for any old thing.
And he was looking for work in the morning and then going to the gym. And it's funny, you sent that to me, and you said he responded. I read what you wrote. It was beautiful, by the way. So he resonated me because, I talk a lot about going to the gym, and that is my therapy.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how long I can afford it, but I'm going to afford it, try to make it a priority.
Yeah.
But it's only been a week, but that's what I've been trying to do, whatever. And I actually wrote something to him, and he's got hundreds and hundreds of comments. And I said something like, the gym is my therapy too. I just lost my job on Tuesday, but I believe that God's got us, kind of very positive too. He responded to me too.
Yeah, he's sweet. He's
really
nice,
sweet.
A really nice
but people
guy.
are hating on him. I'm like,
look,
what is wrong
that
with
toxic
people?
positivity, you can't be positive anymore.
Well, he's kind of our people, though. We want to be around people like that.
That's right.
To support,
Yes. And, really, you have to kind of look at when the bottom fell out for me, once I got my health back, God restored everything to me in record speed. And I have not had more success with my career. And so many aspects of my life have improved since that time. And when it happened, I felt like God had just said, Kim Hickerson, like, who's that? I don't know who she is.
It does feel that way, right? When it's really bad.
When it's really bad.
You just feel like you feel alone.
Yeah.
Do you remember feeling alone?
Oh, I did. I remember
feeling alone. I don't feel that way now.
Yeah.
I've got so many.
Yeah.
Again, I'm different, but I've also got people in my life that I choose to have in my life now. They're so uplifting, like just
and that's one of the things
me.
you want to surround yourself with people who are like that.
Yes.
Not the naysayers, not the negative Nellies.
Yes.
That is not going to help you.
No. And
No.
I think I've got like 3 or 4 good, people just checking on me. Just you got a plan. You're gonna be good. Like just I don't know. I don't feel like well right now I'm still feeling okay. But yeah. But I'm also the routine. We've talked about a routine.
Yeah.
It's important because it's only been a week for me. But I had a trip planned to the West Coast, and that kind of messed me up with my sleep schedule. And then so this past week, I feel like by the time I got to the gym and applied for some jobs, now it's 12 o'clock. Well, I want to be already at the gym dressed and everything by 9, look for jobs and then focus maybe on the podcast or whatever and have like this work routine, if you will. And so my goal this week is to really try to, get up at 6:30, get that gym done, get the shower, put the makeup, put some clothes on. Be ready for your day because it's so easy to let yourself slip.
Yeah. And one of the things when we're preparing for the show, I told you one of the tips because that anxiety, if you allow it to spiral, and it can, because that fear kicks in and you've got these bills to pay and all that, and you don't know what you're going to do, is to do things in increments. So like when you're starting that kind of initial stage of, okay, what are my expenses? What are the things that I absolutely have to make sure I have, like a roof over my head and food, transportation? What are the things that I must have?
Right.
Don't spend all day rehashing that and going over it and coming back to it. You set it up in like 30-minute increments.
That's a great
I will spend
idea.
30 minutes going through my bills, do that. I'm going to step away from it, and I'll come back to it. Don't just sit there and kind of think and overthink it and just stress yourself out.
Do you think it's a good time to like you look at the main bills, right?
Yeah.
The house and the car and the things you have to have.
Yeah.
And then maybe all those other bills like I don't really need this. I don't really need this. I don't really. And that's what I've been kind of doing. Like I like getting, I don't like it. It just I just do it. But you have the fertilizer guy come and put stuff in your yard because it makes it look pretty and you don't have weeds. But do I really need to be spending that money right now? No, I don't. So I have to. That's one of the things this week. There's a few things that I'm going to cut.
Yeah.
But then there's
those subscriptions to all these streaming platforms.
I got rid of all that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I didn't even know I was signed up for some of this stuff.
And I bet some of you don't know you are either.
That's right. So my sister showed me. She's like, go on your phone. You go on subscriptions. I was like, oh. Yeah. A couple of them were coming up for renewal in a couple weeks, so it saved me like $100.
Yeah.
So that was good.
Because how many times have you done a trial and then forgot that you did the trial?
All the time.
And then you're not paying enough attention and seeing that it's coming out of your account.
Yeah, but then I wanted to I was thinking about like Hulu and Netflix and those things.
Yeah.
But then when I looked at the, I think it's like $10 for Hulu, whatever. And then I started thinking, okay, for $10, is it worth canceling? Or do you need a little bit of entertainment?
Yes.
Because I think that's important
That
too,
is
right?
important. And it's one of the things, it is when before for us, we did keep cable. Now, I would have said cable is a luxury.
Right,
and
right.
I don't want to have cable.
I agree.
But for my husband, it was not. That was
like
not a
something
luxury.
for him.
Right. Like that would be something that would maybe, cause a total spiral of just not having an outlet because you couldn't do anything else.
Right. No connection to something.
Yeah. And I'm a person who could when COVID came and I got sick, I went to my room for 10 days and I was happy as a clam.
Oh, see, I would have gone nuts.
And then there are other people who you got to have something.
Yeah.
I could have nothing.
Right.
It'd be fine.
But I mean, like for any entertainment or anything, I mean, I guess you could go for your walks and stuff like that. Like I'd rather cancel.
I could read. I could,
I'd rather cancel Hulu, Netflix, and all that and keep my gym membership, though.
Yes.
I would personally like that.
Yes. So the point of it is to say, you have to know yourself, and it is okay to give yourself some small luxuries, or, it's like the lipstick thing when there's an indicator of recession and the lipstick sales increase because it's just a little small luxury that women can do. They might not be able to afford a brand new outfit, but they can afford a new lipstick.
Yeah,
and I do think that's important. I know for me, when I had like a birthday or someone gave me money for, whatever occasion, I did not spend that on the house. I spent that on myself, and I went straight to
Well, think about it.
one of those stores that I go to.
But that's what people gave it to you for, right?
Yeah.
But some people do get
But
caught up
some
in
people
using
would
that for
spend
their
it.
children
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes. Try to keep something for yourself, because it's just like, giving the oxygen to yourself on the plane. You need to give yourself a little bit, especially if you're the one who's kind of keeping everything afloat.
Yeah.
You need to get a little bit of something.
But for me, when the bottom fell out before, I mean, the bottom, it was more than the bottom. I mean, it was like the world. It was so bad. I couldn't afford those little things. I mean,
Yeah.
I couldn't afford cable. I couldn't
Yeah.
afford internet. I mean, I was going to Dunkin' Donuts. I mean, it's kind of, it's great to look back
Yeah.
and say, wow, look how far I've come. But I mean, you knew me in that time.
Yeah.
I mean, it was hard to go to the grocery store. So I wasn't getting lipstick. I wasn't getting anything. And I had an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
He was getting I wanted
Yeah.
his life. And maybe that was my lipstick. I wanted my son not to know that life was any different.
Yes.
And I made sure, and he's written me letters since then, that during that time, like his college essay, it was heartbreaking. Because I didn't think he remembered, but he remembered, and he was like, you made it so I didn't think I was any different than any of my friends.
Yeah.
And so that was my lipstick, I guess.
Yeah.
Because, the things we do for our children.
Yes, and I was the same, trying to still, one of my daughters was, in the mountains, like Valentine's Day. I was still getting a care package together for her.
Right.
Still trying to. I don't think that most people in my life knew how desperate the times
I don't think
were.
I knew. I don't think I knew. I mean,
Yeah.
I knew it was bad, and I know
Yeah.
you were sick, but
Yeah.
I didn't
But
know.
financially, and you wouldn't know, because I'm not, I'm the type of person, I'm going to dress and I'm going to make sure that I look okay, and I'm not going to reveal things, especially at that time I hadn't done as much healing, so I would keep things to myself.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't know, but that's one of the things that you have to guard against, is not asking for help. The people in your life want to help you. I remember going to the store with my mother to the grocery store
When you were going through
during
this
this hard time. And my mom asked me, she said, do you want me to buy this for you? Whatever it was. It was some meat and stuff. And I was like, no, I'm fine.
That sounds about right.
No, I'm fine. But I wasn't fine.
You were dying inside.
I needed that meat.
and you were being all hard-headed.
And
afterwards, she knew you needed it, probably.
Yes. And there were other things that she did.
Well, your mom's pretty much of an
She
angel, and
is,
I've talked
yeah.
about this story before. I may have talked about it on here. I was in Sam's Club. I look back, how did I have a membership? But it's a year membership, so it probably had it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, I mean, I didn't go out and buy a Sam's membership. I mean, I couldn't afford
Well, you
it.
could save, buying stuff.
But there's
bulk.
certain things,
Yeah.
and I don't know why. It was Christmas,
Yeah.
and I ran into Kim's mom.
Yeah.
And she knew things were bad, but like you, I didn't really tell people how bad it was. I didn't even tell my
No.
own family.
No.
I acted like everything was great. And Kim's mom handed me just like this, and it was a $20 bill, and I was like, oh no, I can't take this. I can't take this.
When you needed it.
Yeah, and she was like, you're going to visit your family, use it for gas, and or buy your son something and put it under the tree. I couldn't even afford Christmas that year. My mother and father bought, I bought them a few things, but like the big gifts, my parents bought them. I mean, it's like crazy how far I've come. But anyway, I kept the money, and her mother said God had put it on her heart to bless me. But me not allowing, probably the same she wanted to bless you, I was going to stop her blessings.
Yeah.
So I've learned that lesson from your mother. And I never do that to people anymore, because I'm like, no. And then one day I did have a breakdown, and I finally told my sister how bad it was. And to this day, she's never told me she did it, but she had to have. She was the only one. And like the next week, I got a $2,000 money order from my father. And I called him, and I was like, Dad, what is this? And it was in his writing. And normally that stuff comes from my mother.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I can't take this. I'm ripping it up. And he's like, wait a minute, it's a money order. That's money. It's cash. Like, don't you dare. And he was like, you need it. And I was like, I do not need it. I'm fine. And he said, you're my daughter. And I was like, okay. He's like, if Trey, my son, needed something like that, what would you do? I said, I'd give it to him.
Yeah.
He said, well, you're my daughter. and I'm giving it to you.
Yes.
And I was able to accept it at that point.
Yeah.
But
and humility is one of the
it was
greatest
sweet.
lessons that you learn.
Yeah.
So even though it can be really hard when difficult things happen
hard.
financially, it is very hard and it's very
to take
scary.
help.
But it's hard to take. It's hard
I mean,
to
even
take
my
help.
father. I mean,
and my mother.
Right, they gave us life, and we
Too proud.
But I also think, right, a testament to the way they raised us, that they taught us how to be self-sufficient, figure it out.
Yeah.
Some people wouldn't be able to figure it out. Like, it would be the end of them. We figured it out.
Yeah, we did, but you know what? You
still need help sometimes.
Sometimes you need some help. And that hyper independence,
it's not healthy.
Is not
it's
real
not.
healthy.
We need people.
Yes,
people need people.
We need people. We do need people.
I know some hyper independent people.
I know. I try not to be, but Lord knows I am. And I'm working against that. And I'm asking for more help. And
that's awesome.
Being way more receptive to
and
receiving
let people
it.
do things.
Yeah.
Because I'll be the first to give. But I struggle with receiving sometimes.
Yeah.
But it does make you feel good. And, my parents, I know they listen to this. So thank you, Mom and Dad. Like, I don't know. I mean, I know I thank them, but I don't know if both of them know how much that meant to me that year. Like, oh my God, they're amazing people. But I didn't even have to ask, and they knew their child needed help. And and it was sweet. And they made sure my son had a great Christmas that year too. And I mean, how do you repay your parents for that, right?
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah. No, and they do it out of love. They want to help you.
Yeah.
The people who love you want to help.
So did you let your mom buy the groceries?
No.
No?
I didn't. I told her I didn't need them.
And she believed you.
Yeah. I'm like, no, I'm fine. Meanwhile, I'm walking around with makeup on, everything like the world's so great.
And inside you're dying.
Yeah, inside I'm like,
and you could have
Kim,
used that.
I'm like, Kim, why did you let her buy the groceries?
And did you ever ask for help during that time?
I did ask my mom for financial help, but it was horrible.
Was it later on, like after? Like
it was later on I was off for 9 months, so it was quite a long time. So I did, and of course, absolutely, they helped, and the other things that she just did automatically also. But that was a lesson that I learned in that experience about humility and allowing people to help you.
Because if your kids went through a hard time, you wouldn't think twice about it.
And, for me as a Christian in my faith, God's not going to walk down here and walk around and pay your bills for you.
No.
What is he going to do? He's going to bring people into your life to bless you. Like when our AC went out.
During that time. Oh, my goodness.
And, I've talked about my health issues, and heat intolerance is like, I can't deal with the heat because it makes me sick. And I was like, God, I cannot sit up in this hot house. Like, you need to work this out. And I had no money. Like, I was like, I don't know. What are we going to do? And he, the person we use to work on our AC normally, like do routine maintenance, came out, and he knew that we needed a new unit.
Oh,
and he knew that we couldn't afford it, and he had a unit in his garage, or like he just had an extra one. It was used.
What are the odds of that?
Yes, and he offered us that unit at bare bones pricing, and we just so happened to have a 401k that we had forgotten about. And this is at the end. We could use that 401k 5 million times by that time, but we didn't.
But you used it for something you needed.
And we had that money to buy that AC unit. That's God using, people amongst us as angels to bless you. So make sure you are allowing people to bless you, and that you are receiving it, and you're not owning, having any sense of shame or anything about that.
Also, people don't realize there are programs for all sorts of things out there. I didn't know at the time. And again, it goes back to pride.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go apply for help or whatever, but there are programs that help with mortgages. There's programs that help with rent. People don't realize that. And I happen to just be taking a certification, and there was someone I met that was, why do you think you're going to lose your house? And so, like you said, people were put in your life for different reasons, but there are things out there to help people. And It is. It's hard to put their pride aside that you need help, but that's what it's there for.
Yes.
And those people that are in those that are facilitating those programs that typically work in those organizations. I mean, we're nonprofit girls.
Yeah.
You tend to have a heart
Yes.
for community and for helping people change their lives. So don't be ashamed because those people want to help. I mean, that's what they're in those jobs for.
Yeah.
Right?
And we used a housing assistance program during that time, or we would have lost our house.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, we would have lost it.
And now look at all the people, like especially government employees and things like that are losing their jobs now.
And they paid our full mortgage. So you have to know the state that you live in, but absolutely look at what resources are available, because there are resources to help with your rent or your mortgage, with food. You can't, your church, your faith community, but they certainly aren't going to help you if you don't ask and they don't know about it. So there is a statement. I wanted to read this because I thought it was great. And it's a way that you can word it. And it says, I'm in financial hardship and need to know what flexibility. Oh, well, this is different. This is a different thing. Sorry, you guys. This is the other one. This is the thing about if you have different bills, like your credit card bills, your student loans, it's another tip to contact them and start negotiating and seeing if you can either get this payments like a forbearance or you can get it suspended. A lot of different cards and different things.
Like credit cards.
Even credit cards, car payments, different things like that. You don't know because you might have signed it, not even paid attention to it because you didn't need it. But if you call them and try to negotiate the payment, sometimes you can get that done. So the question for that is, I'm in financial hardship and need to know what flexibility is available right now. And you don't need to explain your whole situation.
Right.
Because that is a part of what starts, it's the guilt and you feel like you shouldn't ask for help. You don't need to do any of that.
But I think it's great if you do that because you're still trying to pay your bills.
Yes.
You're just saying, okay, I can't spend $100, but I can maybe spend $50.
Yes.
How can you help me? Because right during this time, another thing that adds to it, which I was scared of, really destroying your credit. Because it takes so long to rebuild that. And if you want to buy a house down the road or you need a new car or like those
and you'll
things,
tell yourself you're never going to have a house. You're never going to do this. You're never. And that's not true.
It's not. I built a house after all that
you
bottom.
Did.
I mean,
yes.
I built a house for my son.
You rebuilt your life.
I rebuilt my life.
Yes.
And it's funny. My sister, years later, I closed on the house and she admitted to me, she said, Shannon, when you said you were going to buy a house, I was like, how is she going to buy a house? I guess because I was single mom. I don't know. I'm like, because I'm going to. Hello. Like, I think there's a will, there's a way, right? I figured it out.
Yeah.
And I remember her saying that to me. And I'm like, wow, thanks for having the faith.
Yeah. Well, I'm guilty of that too. Sometimes I'll say I'm going to do something and I think people think I'm not going to do it. And it may take me a year. It may take me 2 years. But like the podcast. But if I tell you I'm going to get it done, I'm going to get it done.
But
they say look at this time too as not that you're going to bounce back from the situation, that you're going to rebuild. Because
I like that.
The reality is that you may take a hit to your credit. And it may look very bleak. And you have to look at it as I'm not coming back to what I had before. I have to rebuild something new according to the circumstances that I have going on in my life right now.
And often I think it's going to be better. When I look back at that time for my life, it's so crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, we had to move. Once I did finally get a job, it was over a year unemployed. And then we moved and we lived in a 1-bedroom apartment because I had a mortgage to pay in the other community. Couldn't sell it because the market was really bad. Then sold the house for a loss, had to get a loan so I didn't ruin my credit, which was probably the best thing I did because then I was able to build a house.
Yeah.
And then once I sold the house, my son's like, we're going to buy a house. We're going to buy a house. And I'm like, no, we're going to upgrade to a 2-bedroom apartment. Because it was too overwhelming.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have, but it was just too overwhelming.
You weren't ready yet.
I wasn't ready.
You took those baby steps to rebuild.
Yeah,
and you did go into a 1-bedroom apartment
I did,
initially.
and I slept on the couch. But I wanted my child's life to be as normal. He got the bedroom. And then, of course, once we got in the 2-bedroom, but I never really decorated. I had boxes because I was like, I'm getting out of this place. And it was a nice apartment.
It was a nice
They
apartment.
were nice. People would have made it a home. I was like, no, I'm not living here. It's just a place to sleep. But
you had your eyes. You didn't allow that circumstance to tell yourself that you couldn't have, which was your dream.
Right, but then you look back and, that day we closed on the house. one of my quasi sons, he came over to help and he left. And my son, freshman in high school, at the time I think he was 6 foot, just going through a growth spurt, big old kid, mommy, we have a home again. And I said, well, buddy, did that bother you that we lived in an apartment? And he said it did. And it was a nice apartment. We had granite and all that stuff. But it was just in his mind, right? He always lived in a house and now apartment. Ugh.
Yeah.
And it just was so humbling at that moment. You're like, wow, look what we've done. Look what I've done.
Yeah.
My son has a house again, right? Kind of thing. So
and you worked hard to make that happen.
But again, I had a lot of support and being around people that inspired me and tried to help me become better. And I look back and I'm just so grateful for almost having gone through that experience.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why I'm not as I mean, look, I'd be lying if I'm not a little scared, right? I got to look at my finances again this week or whatever. But I just feel in my heart that something better is going to be coming for me.
Yep.
And as scary as that is, and I'm sure I'll have my days of doubts, you'll probably hear it. I do believe I'm gonna be happier. I'm gonna have a better job.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make more money. All of that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I don't know what order, but it's gonna happen. And my faith is so strong. I do believe that. I'll have sad moments.
I believe it too.
Right through the moments, but
because you're human.
Yeah,
You're human, so
yeah.
you're gonna have those moments. That's okay.
yeah. But I think those are all great tips, Kim.
Yeah.
Keep your head up. Right. Rely on your friends. Rely on your family. And if you're a person of faith, whatever that may be, rely on that. But don't forget to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Go for a walk. That's free.
Yeah.
There's plenty of parks out there. That's another thing. Look for the free things. There's lots of free things, entertainment things.
Don't sit in that house and just get depressed and anxious.
It's so easy. It's so easy to go down that way.
Yeah.
And there's so many people that care for you. And if you don't have anybody, because there's people that feel like that, join a church, join a club, join
Go
something.
to the different organizations, like the organization where my job, this podcast is my, passion project. I do have a whole job. But there are organizations like that we have all sorts of free programs.
Resources,
And at those programs, we feed you and give you a gas card, and give you incentives.
That's awesome.
And everything's free. So look to your community to see and provide childcare. So what's available, and don't be afraid to reach out to those people, because there's plenty of people who come to the organization that I work for one thing. But the people that work there care so much about what they do for a living that they will scour the earth to find whatever resource that you need for your family.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great advice.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you learned some things today, and just don't give up, because
don't give up.
Life is beautiful, and we've all gone through bad things and challenging times, and that bottom can fall out big. But you know what? When it turns around, it can be beautiful. Yeah, we've lived it.
Yeah, you can learn from it, and you just come out stronger and better. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you for joining us today. Our next episode, we are going to be talking about age ain't nothing but a number. So we're going to talk about that. But thank you for joining us, and have a great day.
See you next time.